People's commission can change based on the amount of their sales. The more they sell, the higher their commission goes. So an example of a graduated commission could be on sales between 0 and 1,000, you get 5%. Between 1,000 and 3,000, you get 7.5%. And on sales greater than $3,000, you would get 10%. Now you notice that as you sell more, 5%, 7.5%, 10%. So as you get more, the percentage rate gets higher. This is so that employers are creating incentives for people to sell more. So the more you sell, literally the more you make. Not just because you're getting more commission, but because the percentage gets higher on top of that. Your net income is the amount that you're paid after deductions are taken off. Now, net income is kind of a throwback to grade 10 essentials when we calculated that. So this is, the second question is just going to have a bit of a reminder of that. So here are the steps. Determine the total sales. Step 2, break up the sales into brackets and determine the amount of sales in each. Now, the number line works best, though other people have different methods. As long as your work is organized and I can follow it, that's fine with me. I'm going to show you one way, but if you have a different way, that's fine. Change all the commissions into decimals, so 5%. The way that we change that into a decimal, we go 5 divided by 100 and we get 0.05. Assign the commissions to their brackets. 5, multiply the total sales by the percent as a decimal. Add all the brackets together to find the gross pay. The net pay equals the gross pay minus deductions. And you take the gross pay and multiply the deductions by the deductions as a decimal, and then subtract this form from gross. So this can be kind of like a checklist. It sounds a little bit overwhelming right now, but we'll go through the process and you'll see how it just kind of makes sense. So example number 1, Samantha works at a salon as a hairdresser. She cuts and styles hair, but also receives a commission on the hair products her customers purchase. This month, her customers buy $750 worth of hair products. She gets paid on a graduated commission scale of 100 to 150, she gets 5%. Between 150 and 500, she gets 10%. And on sales over 500, she gets 15%. So this is how I would do it. So I'm going to pay attention to where the percentages change. So the percentages here change at 150, and they change at 500. So from 0 to 150 is 5%, or 0.05. Between sales of 150 and 500, she gets 10%. So 10%, which is the same thing as 0.1. And on sales over 500, she makes 15%, or 0.15 as a decimal. So just to set this up, between 0 and 150, that's $150. Between 150 to 500, that is 350, because you take 500 and you subtract 150 to get this portion here. And the amount that she sells is 750. So the difference between 750 and 500 is 250. So since her sales span all 3 of these commissions, we're going to have to do 3 calculations. We're going to have to go on the first 150, and we multiply that by 0.05%. And we need to, on the next 350, multiply that by 0.1. She gets 10% of those sales. And from 500 to 750, which is 250. we multiply that by 0.15. Now, before we go off to the races and do all that work, what we should do is we should just do a quick addition here. And if all of those things add up to 750, then we know that we've set ourselves up right. So 150 plus 350 plus 250 equals 750. So check, that's great. That matches with this, so we know that we have a good start. So when I go 150 times 0.05, we get 750. 350 times 0.1, or 10% of 350, is going to be 35. 250 times 0.15 is going to be 3,750. And now all I need to do is I need to add them all up. And when I do that, I get $80. So her commission is $80. And that's it. So it's just like your other commission questions. It's just, it adds the level of complication with having different stages. So let's look at this other question here. It's basically the same thing. The only thing that is added to it is this net pay. So Sean sells $7,500 worth of welding equipment. He gets paid on a graduated commission scale of $0 to $2,000, and he gets 5.5%. $2,000 to $6,000, he gets 10%. And on sales over $6,000, he gets 13.75%. If his deductions are 35%, find his net pay. So what I want to do right now is I want to create my scale and make note of where the percentages change. So our first change in percentage happens at 2,000. So I'm going to go 2,000, where it changes from 5.5%, which is the same thing as 0.055. It changes to 10%, which is 0.1. And then the second place that it changes is at 6,000. So I'm going to have here 6,000, where it changes from 10% to 13.75%, which is the exact same thing as 0.1375. And we notice that Sean sells 7,500. So this is where his sales are. His sales are a part of all three parts of the scaled commission. So that means that we need to do calculations on this portion from 0 to 2,000, which is $2,000. And from $2,000 to 6,000, which is 4,000. And from 6,000 to 7,500, which is 1,500. So first things first, I'm going to take each one of these values, 2,000, 4,000, and 1,500, and multiply them by the decimals. So $2,000, I'm going to multiply by 0.055. $4,000, I'm going to multiply by 0.1. And the remaining 1,500, I multiply by 0.1375. Let's just do a quick check here with this total. If this totals 7,500, we know we've set it up right. So 2,000 plus 4,000 plus 1,500. 7,500. Check. We're good, because that's what we're hoping to calculate commission on. Those are his sales. So 2,000 times 0.055 is going to be 110. 4,000 times 0.1 is going to be 400. And 1,500 times 13.75%, or 0 times 0.1375, is going to be 206.25. So his total commission, when we add all those things together, is going to be $716.25. So this is his commission. But the last part of this question here is, if deductions are 30%, find his net pay. So this is his gross. So what the steps have us do is we're going to find out what 30% of 716.25. So the way that we find this is 716.25 times 0.3, and we get 214.88. And then to get your net, you take your gross, which is 716.25, and you subtract 214.88, and you get the final net income of 501. That's funny. 501.37. This is your final answer. Okay, now in your booklet you have a whole set of questions that you can do, and when you would like to see the answer key, you can come on up and just ask me for it and I'll give it to you.